Hey guys, now we're going to go through the subscription commerce financial model so you know exactly what's in it when you're thinking about purchasing it, right? So this model is designed for companies who have a business model quite like Dollar Shave Club or say Birchbox. Now, what is unique about that model? Well, in a sense, it combines two types of business model. One is a SaaS one and one's an e-commerce one. So in this model, we're going to allow you to have three types of customer. One would be, SaaS-like recurring revenue. They're going to buy your box or your razor blade every single month and pay for it. The next is going to be a pure e-commerce customer. And those people are just going to buy from your store. Say maybe you're selling moisturizing lotion or something, but they're not buying it on a subscription. And the third is going to be a combination of both of those. So they're going to purchase your box, maybe see some promotions and say, hey, I didn't realize I could buy moisturizing lotion. So I'm going to buy both of those. Now, if that doesn't fit your exact business model, that's fine. If you don't do normal e-commerce, you just do subscription, then you can actually remove that e-commerce element from the model. But, I want to make these more complicated models for you so you don't have to do it yourself. And, these models require a lot of work. So cool. Let's run through this model sheet by sheet, and I'll cover at a high level what the functionality is so you can see if that's going to suit your means. All right. Now, every model has a general introduction, overview of what the sheets are, etc. You can have a read of that. And then we have the formatting sheet. Just a few key numbers in here. The first one's going to be the date that you're going to put in for your forecast, and the next one is for your actuals. And then next, what your month year end is going to be. So you type in 12 if it's December. Now, I'll come back to why this is really important when I go through the next three sheets. But you can see all you need to do for your taxes, just type in, say, 20% corporation tax, and the model just figures out everything for you. So we have your actual sheet, your forecast sheet, and your combined sheet. Now, these all are structured exactly the same. The actual one is going to be a little bit different because this is just going to be where you're going to type in all your actuals. And you can see these nice yellow boxes which tell you exactly what you want to fill in. Two unique things which are best practice that I do with this is I ensure every single number will start in column I. So when you're looking at formulas, you can always see that if it's in column I from the first one, then everything's adding up, right? The next thing is I group everything up here. So if you don't want to see lots of minutia detail, you don't have to see it. You can just group or ungroup them by pressing these buttons. So here you can see that at the top, there's a guide for each and every page telling you what to do. And generally there are comments explaining what's going on here. Okay, so you can type in the number of existing subscription customers, your monthly, your annual, how much bookings or billings that you're doing, your MRR, your gross orders, make deductions for cancellations. If you do that, you can then type in new types of revenue, discounts and vouchers, returns, basically everything that would be in your full P&L, right? And so these are all your actuals going back. There's 11 months. Because, if there were 12, that would be a full year. But that's what your actual sheet looks like. This will then get combined into the combined sheet. Now, the next one is your P&L forecast. So it's the same structure. And you can see it's all being grouped up. And you see all these little green links. That means they're linked to somewhere else. Now, there's basically almost no assumptions you need to put in here, other than some things around discounts and vouchers, cancellation rates, return rates, percentage of COGS, bad debt, allowance for bad goods, which you may not care about. But if you want to, you just type in the percentage and the math's been done for you, right? So you can convey to investors and for your own benefit that you really have thought about everything when it comes down to your model, okay? So very little that you need to actually type into the forecast sheet. Now, the combined literally combines the actual and the forecast so that you can see the evolution of your key financials and your metrics over time. So you'll see in the formatting sheet, you type in that your actuals start in January, but your forecast start in April. And so January, February, March, and then starts here in April, but your combined will show you January, February, March, April. So it's taking the actuals and then adding on the forecasts and combining them together in one sheet. And don't worry, all little adjustments which you'd have to think about for your growth rates, etc., have sort of been hidden in this column H. Okay, now the next sheet we have is a P&L for your deck. This is, a guide of something that you can select and copy and paste and put it into your deck if you feel like. Now, there's more line items than I would typically advise putting into a spreadsheet, so you can kind of decide which ones you want to show. Just, delete them. It's not linked to anything else. It's just a presentation sheet. So decide if you want to use this or what line items you want to put into it. Now, the next sheet we have is really cool. It's a source and use sheet. Now, you can use this to copy and paste already pre-designed graphics, and you can also use it to figure out what your runway is going to be. So when are you going to close your fundraise? How many months of runway do you need? And that will tell you how much money you need to raise. Alternatively, you could type in how much you're raising, say 3 million, and that will then tell you how many months of runway you'd actually have on both a gross and a net basis, with the gross or net including or not including your revenue. So you can quickly just see here some of these lovely little charts that I've made for you. And when you see these, you're wondering, okay, so 27% is on buying, 21% is on G&A. What's really adding into that if a VC asks you? Well, everything has been lined out where every single cost item is into all these categories. So you can see for your R&D that we're going to have staff costs, bonuses, and your general operating costs. And if any other costs have been assigned to them throughout the model. So this is a really cool, useful sheet, which I've never seen anyone else do before. Now, relatively easy. We've got your KPIs for your subscription element of your business. And, we've got a whole bunch of them. So you can really nerd out and see how things are looking. And then we have your generalized KPIs. So you can see your financial summary with all your margins and how much money you're making as you go down. What your relative cost structure is, what the costs are contributing to it. Some of your key metrics like your cost per orders, your customer acquisition cost. Now, obviously, when you have both a subscription and an e-commerce model, this can get a bit tricksy. So you'd want to understand exactly how those formulas work and maybe change them if that is what you need to do for your business model. And then you can see, how your headcount is evolving over time. So look, seems like fulfillment is going up quite a lot, but generally everything else is a bit stagnant. So maybe this model is not quite right because you're probably going to need to have more than 11 G&A headcount in year 3. Next, we've got charts. These are just pulled out from each and every sheet. The really useful thing about having charts is you can see how trends happen over time. So you can see G&A is pretty high at the start, but it actually comes down quite a lot and ends up, having a lot for fulfillment people. Your logistics costs per order is pretty high, but sort of stabilizes over time. You've got some spikes. I guess that's probably scaling costs. You can use this to analyze things. Oh, looks something's going on here with outsourced photography. Could be because you're doing a lot of new SKUs. Now, the next sheet is your staff sheet, which of course is really important for every company since people are your startup and they're also quite a large component of your costs. Now, I've designed this in such a way that you can do some pretty cool things without very much work. Now, if you have payroll taxes and benefits, there's just one place you've got to type that in. So say on average it's 17%. Just type in 17 and those numbers will apply in all the formulas. Now, say you want to add some people. So you got maybe yourself. You type in January 16 as the start date. If you want to fire yourself as someone, you can type in the end date and these numbers won't be included in your monthly forecasts. So you can set your salaries. These will get converted then onto a monthly basis. If you have bonuses, these will be accrued and then adjustments will be made. So, if you're paying bonuses at your year end, that will actually happen. But you can see what it looks like on an accrual basis. So, the CEO is getting paid 7K as opposed to, the 5.5 that they would otherwise get. Now, One other useful thing here is if you are, say, doing a Series A in future or a Series B and you want to increase salaries, you can just type in what the new salary will be and the date that it increases, and your numbers in future will go up. And this applies to your G&A staff, your R&D, your sales and marketing, your buying people, your production, your customer care, and your fulfillment people. Now, if you, say, don't have fulfillment, you can just delete all these, and they won't be here anymore. Now, you'll see here I've, say, calculated. Right? There's a number of elements of your business which you don't really want to have to explicitly forecast. You want to make it scalable in proportion to how you may flex up and down your forecasts, right? So if you're doing lots of SKUs, maybe you need more photographers and photographer assistants, or lots of orders, maybe more customer care agents. So you don't want to have to manually figure that out. I've just enabled it in such a way that you can scale up and down. So for customer care agents, I just assume you're paying them on average 26K salary, but there's one line item for potentially multiple people. Now, people waste a lot of time trying to figure out what, pencils and pens are going to cost them. That is just not useful. So the way I approach it is to say, on average, how much a month is it going to cost you for, your stationery, for onboarding staff, your travels, and your various other costs. And these just go on a per head basis, depending on the category, and then will be filtered to that G&A, R&D, SM, buying, etc. category. So really simple way for you to just really forecast your costs without wasting so much time and trying to be super specific. And then at the top, of course, we're going to have details about how all these costs work out. Now, expenses, yay. So of course, you're going to have costs. What are they going to be? This allows you to basically scale them dependent on how you're going to grow. So we're going to have logistics costs. We're going to have warehousing costs. You're going to be handling costs for your warehouse. You'll be spending money on packaging for both, sending out your traditional e-commerce products or your subscription products. So maybe the box is more expensive than what you'll normally package it up for. You're going to have delivery costs. And so how are these going to be? We'll see the average cost depending on where you're shipping to, whether or not you're doing free shipping, and also for the subscription. You're going to have returns. How's that going to work out? Then for customer care, you can think about, how many people will you need for all the orders? How much time will they be spending servicing them? How many hours a day are they going to be working? And then that will kind of tell you how many people you'll need for it, whether or not you scale up or down. You won't have to change all these assumptions again. We're going to have payment costs, and they can be all sorts of different types. You'll have, server costs, costs for sending your emails, and then photography. And I allow you to decide if you're going to outsource it or insource it. And you can figure out which one might make sense. Next, we've got depreciation, amortization, and your tax. Yay, so much fun, right? Now, I allow you to get pretty nerdy here, looking at how your what your useful CapEx life is going to be and whether or not you're going to have net operating losses, etc. Now, if you don't really care about this stuff, you can just leave my assumptions alone. But if you know what you're doing, feel free. It's investment banking quality. You can nerd out quite a bit on this. Now, we want to get into actually making money. So this is going to be a subscription pricing page, and I allow you to have 3 types of packages. So it could be the cheaper one blade, the double blade, or the executive, which costs $20 a month. And if people purchase on an annual basis, if you offer that, you can also offer discounts for annual pricing. Now, SKUs, stock keeping units. So you can type in how many you start with, how many new SKUs you're going to add, which of course will have to be photographed, and if you're going to take any of them off. So you can actually track how many SKUs you're going to have online. Now, when you try to figure out how much you're going to make, you don't want to have to do this on a per SKU basis because that just is way too much work. So what I do is allow you to make averages or 3 buckets to say shoes, apparel, accessories. So maybe shoes are not purchased as much, but the average price is higher. Maybe accessories are purchased a lot, but the price is kind of low, and maybe the margin's better. So you can say, 30% will be shoes, 50% will be apparel, and 20% will be accessories. And, maybe this will change over time. So, you can just input assumptions and see that, the shoes are going up to 40% in future. Now, what is the average sales price for these three buckets? And how is that different if you have repeat customers? Will they purchase different kinds of products? Maybe it's more apparel than shoes. How much are you selling for these for? Then, of course, what is the cost basis for all these types of products? Of course, now you may have a sourcing strategy which is different, and you may be taking some products on consignment. Maybe you won't be allowed to do that at the start. Maybe you want to do it in the future. That will possibly yield you different average prices and margins. So if you don't have that, you just set it at zero. Make sure that's consignment is set at 0%. And you have to worry about it. But if you want to, you can also think about how consignment will be impacting on your margins. Now, next, we'll have a look at your products or your e-commerce store. You can set, as we just talked about, your consignment, how much of your goods are on consignment, how many items on average will people buy on the first order, and then what will happen with regards to your churn. So you'll say maybe at the start your churn rate's higher, but over time that'll settle down to your average long-term rate at, say, 4.2% monthly. And then we've got a ton of formulas which will basically figure out everything for you on a cohort basis. Now, there are other things, of course. I'm not going to get into too much detail in this guide now, but there's a lot more little things that you can deal with in this model. Marketing is obviously a big component of your business. You're going to acquire users, and they're going to turn into paying customers. So you're going to want to set out, if they're subscription users only, what package are they going to buy? Is it the basic one or the premium version? If they're going to get the subscription and buy products, what kind of users are those going to be? Maybe you're going to have a different kind of user profile or persona for them. What are your churn rates going to look like? And do people switch between different packages over time? So maybe they start out with the basic one and then upgrade to Pro in future. This will allow you to do it and model it on a per month cohort basis. Now, that was the monthly one. You can also set what the annual version will look like. So how many months on average are people going to buy a subscription for? Is it 10 months, 12, 15, 20? You can set that just by typing in one number. Now, what kind of package do they buy? And do they switch between these packages? All right. With these just, serious assumptions, you can do some pretty powerful things. Now, the sheets here are basically a whole lot of horsepower. There's nothing you need to type in, and you can see all these little green links. They pull it in from your conversion assumptions and some other sheets. And for, basically for a very, very lot of sheets down to, 1,360 rows of calculations, figure out everything for you, and that feeds it through the model. So you don't have to do any thinking about this. I recommend, of course, understanding how the model works, but I did all this crazy work for you. So that was the monthly, the same version for the annual version. And then next, because there's a lot of formulas in those two sheets, I pull out all the key data into this sheet so you can see what the key numbers are and how your calculation is working. Maybe see if something doesn't really make sense without having to go through all 1,200 rows. Cool. Now, the last big block is going to be your marketing. Okay. Why don't we start at the end? So I allow you to do paid, organic, email, blogging, and social as sources of traffic to your website. So, how many blogs will you be featured in per month? What's the average traffic you'll get from each one? Now, for your social media build, how many followers do you have? What will the click-through rates be? How often will you be posting? What virality will come out of that? And just basically this all adds up. And then, you can do the same thing for email, be as complicated or simple as you want. And then the next section, you're paid for a lot of businesses is going to be really key. So how much are you spending a month? It's going to probably increase over time, right? You just type in the dollar amount. Then you type in what your cost per click is going to be, and maybe that will increase or decrease over time. Quite often it's actually increased, but hey. And just very simply what your organic traffic is to the site. And all these sheets are going to feed into this marketing sheet, which of course, as usual, is grouped and, can look a little bit more complicated if you like, or we can look at the simple version. And you want to put on a conversion of your traffic. So all this traffic comes into you. What will that conversion rate will it be? Will it be 1%, 0.8%, or 2%. And maybe that will increase over time. And if you want to optimize that, you can make improvements to your conversion rates. And this traffic will then flow into the model, where you can make your conversion assumptions about what does the user profile look like for these people. Now, of course, you don't just set the numbers once and assume everything's right. Everything is linked together, right? All the sheets are interlinked. So when you start looking at your KPI sheets, you can start wondering, does the assumptions I made in my marketing sheet actually make sense? Are my margins right? Is my pricing right? Maybe not. Maybe I need to change what my pricing is going to be, or what my, acquisition cost will be, which could be on my conversion rates or my CPCs, or maybe I'll have more organic than paid traffic. Let's play around and see what that looks like. And you can even look at the charts and see how, things are sort of trending for you, right? So guys, that's a really quick introduction into the subscription commerce model. Now, I know it's quite a lot to take in, but what's so valuable about my models, as opposed to basically anything you can find on the internet, is they're detailed and they're comprehensive. Now, if you don't want to deal with the level of detail, you just set things to 0 and you can make the model simpler. But if you're like most founders and you haven't really thought about all these crazy things, my models will force you to think really critically about your company and what assumptions will enable you to fly or die. And, the typical feedback I get from founders can be described in one sentence. It's, wow, it was a lot to get through, but it made me ask questions that I didn't think to ask of myself. There's more to read. There's screenshots. Feel free to have a look. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I promise you, I don't make these models just for fun, right? I certainly don't make them just to make money because the ROI is low. I do it because no one else has ever done them before, and I hate founders wasting time. So if this is your business model, if you're trying to figure out, an operational plan, or you need to actually go fundraising for investors, this will save you literally months of work. So I highly recommend checking out. Thanks, guys. Bye.